Hello everybody, welcome to the 2nd November edition of the Art Journal Watch Along video. Today's design is super fast. If you look at the video length, even with intro and outro, it's less than 20 minutes, so this is a quick one. Inspired is this page by something that happened to me Monday or Tuesday morning, one or the other, I can't remember. So I was, I had my alarm clock set actually, but I woke up before the alarm clock because there was nature's alarm clock going on, which was geese flying over my house and making the loudest noises ever. So I thought, well, this would make maybe a nice art journal page, right? So here's my attempt to that, and I'm just going with acrylics straight in, no brushes today, but only sponges. And I started with Bavarian blue and now adding a lavender. And these little glasses of color are ones that I want to finish up. So that's why they are in my color spectrum, so to say. So I'm just using whatever color I can get out of those glass bottles and put it straight onto the page. Because I'm working with sponges and not with brushes or palette knives, and because I'm going straight onto porous surface, which is the paper, I get a very, very smooth look and feel to the page. It's almost like as if I would have printed that page and not really have been painting on it. Also, the grid of the natural grid of the background there just goes away immediately. All of those colors are very opaque, so that works nicely. What I intended to do when I started this page was making a scene where you're, I don't know, in a field or somewhere in nature that is more on the foresty side, or grasses and stuff, and just look up into the heavens, see the clouds. It's quite the stormy, typical November clouds, because that's what's happening here currently. And then you see geese flying by. However, through the next couple of minutes, you will see that the scenery changes quite a bit from nature to from foresty nature to ocean, and I guess it's the North Sea that I'm painting there, or maybe the Atlantic. I don't know, but it should be somewhere on the route south for those geese. So imagine any place on Earth that geese would travel over from north to south. That is a very, very rough ocean. So what I'm using now is indigo. It's a very dark, quite greenish blue, which complements the Bavarian blue quite a bit, because that's also more on the grayish greenish side of the spectrum. And I'm just rubbing the color in, giving the lower part of the page a bit of a frame, and adding graphite gray now. And this color usually has kind of like a sparkle if you use it purely, but since I'm going to mix it in with the indigos and all the other colors that I'm going to use on this page, it loses its metallic look that you can see there on the palette. So no worries that it doesn't look like Terminator waves or something. Not gonna happen. It's going to look quite real in the end. I'm just dabbing the color with the sponges onto the page, and I'm rubbing it in, kind of. And I'm using one tiny sponge for every color, so I'm not mixing on the sponge itself. But I cut a big old dishwashing sponge into little rectangles, and they're big enough. You don't need to have more when you're working on this size of a background, which is DIN A4. So now it's time to go in with more of the lighter parts, and for that I chose titanium white. And I'm starting to put in the parts where the waves are crushing on the beach and you get those foamy parts of the waves. At this point, I know I'm going for waves. I'm not even trying to make it a cloud anymore. It's just, it's so clear that this is a wave breaking on shore on a very wild ocean in late autumn, early winter, and November time having a grayish look to it very often in my part of the world. This looks very true and very real. So I don't think gray is a sad color per se. So even me using the November gray, I'm just gonna call it November gray, in this painting does not mean that this is a sad or a melancholic page. It is actually just something that happens in my part of the world at this time of the year, that you have a grayish look to everything and you can see different kinds of nuances of the gray in clouds or even water or fog or whatnot, and I kind of like it. I like those somber feeling autumn days just shortly before you go into the bright and colorful Christmas season. There's maybe 10 days or 15 days, the second half of November, I'd say, where you feel, or where the world in my part of the planet has a somber feel to it. And I like it because it almost is like saying goodbye to the season, because early December, it's definitely winter here. You can't even call it late autumn if you would be kind. No, it's definitely winter. Season changes very, very quickly, and you say goodbye to the geese and other birds that fly south, and you say goodbye to the last leaves that fall off the trees. And again, it feels quiet and somber, and it's almost as if the world would be in a Zen mode, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what's on this page, because I like that time of year a lot. I'm going back and forth with titanium white, indigo blue, and the graphite gray. And I'm now going to set the horizon, that point where the sea becomes the sky. And I don't want to have that line too harsh, and I don't want it to fade too much, because I'm going to paint in or draw in the geese later on. So I have to have kind of a sky, but the horizon cannot be quiet, because the sea or the ocean, whatever you want to call it in this picture, is so wild and so rioting, and well, the horizon can't be a straight line then where there is nothing, or it's like a quiet breeze going over the ocean. No, this is wild. So I'm going in with the white now in this line to kind of start working on the horizon, and I'm lightening everything above that line, which is the sky, and I'm taking away a bit of that lavender purple, and I'm fading that color out quite a bit with the white here, but then again, this is a solid layer of clouds there, and the purple actually only tries to shine through, and only partially succeeds. On the right hand side, on the very upper right hand side of the painting, you can still see a bit of that lavender, and that's actually enough. It's fine that all the rest of the page, when it comes to the upper part where the sky is a solid grayish white that reminds you a bit of fog, or that pulled apart thin clouds even that you sometimes have in regions that are having a coastline. So I'm setting a bit more indigo to the page. On the lower part of the page, it could be the point where the wave hits the shore, so the white above is like this foam that happens when the waves break. Or it could just be a frame of a painting, whatever. But the upper indigo is just below the horizon, and it definitely shows the depth of the painting. Like, you can see miles and miles across the water here, even though it's a foggy and gray November day. And I really like how the wave turned out, that it looks so wild and like really those huge autumn or winter waves that happen. So I think that by accident turned out just fine. So the next thing I'm doing is letting everything dry, and it did very, very quickly because I have the heating on in my studio, so even acrylics now dry very quickly. I'm going in with black permanent markers, and I'm just outlining geese that are flying somehow over the ocean. They could come from the ocean and fly to shore, and I'd say that this is the case here in this painting, and that this is not the ocean like between continents, between, for example, America and Europe, but this is more like the part from Norway to Denmark, which also has a very rough shore, but there's not as many miles or kilometers that the geese would have to cross to come to shore again, because I think they're not flying for days over water only. So yeah, I think they're flying to shore. And I'm struggling a bit with the angle that the geese are in, because I don't want to have them all in the same angle, but they fly in a pattern. But I didn't want to have only one. I didn't only want to have the V shape that you see in the skies sometimes, because when there's a lot of geese, they do have the V shape only on the front, and way back the pattern looks more scattered. And I think this is where, if I would take a photo, my photo would have been taken. So I'm not going in with the V shape only. And I'm trying to have the wings set at different angles, and some birds being bigger than others, because that's what it sometimes looks like when you look up in the sky and you see geese flying over. They kind of look that way. They look organized, but then if you look closely, they are so different and unique. Although they sometimes remind me of military parades. Like, every person is different, but they all wear the same uniform, you know? Geese have something something similar, I think, going on. When you look at them first glance, they all look the same, but second glance, they so look unique, and I like that. I like the second look. So I'm just trying to decide how many geese I'm going to put in and what other angles I might want to have them in, and how deep I want to pull them into the ocean part of the painting, if I just want them to be on the real upper part, or if I want to pull them down a bit. And I'm just deciding how I want to go forward before I paint or I draw them in, if I even go for more, and I guess I am. I am, for sure. And these permanent markers actually work nicely with acrylics. They don't clog even if the acrylics are a tiny bit damp still. They are quite robust and they just work nicely. They are not too bright, glossy, so that matte and somber look of the acrylics, particularly in this case, is not interrupted by a glossy pen. It's quite blendable, or it just fits perfectly with acrylics and other media as well. It's like a chameleon that works with very many different media perfectly and shines in the way that you use whatever you want to use permanent markers for. So I just set down the date, but I did set it down with white on the lower part because black would interrupt your view there, or it would look weird. And the only thing I'm going to do now is setting down the sentiment, which is also the name of the video. So see you in spring, geese. Come back then, please. I'm just writing it down. And that's my page for this week. Again, like I said, very simple, very, very quick. But I think once in a while you have to have a 1 layer, maybe 2 layer art journal page, and not try all the fancy things you can do all in one. So I thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I will be very happy to answer any of those. If you have anything you want me to try, or give me any kind of ideas, that's very, very welcome too. I would be very grateful. Otherwise, I would be very, very appreciative if you would share or like this video. And if you haven't, go on subscribe. I'm posting different kinds of videos pretty much every day. So enjoy, have a very good one. I'm going to see you either later tonight with a talk o'clock or latest tomorrow morning. So see ya, bye.